Ooh, I am. Okay, there we go. Hey everyone, this is Aline, and welcome to Virtual Vegfest Live. And it's our Thursday edition. And let's say thank you to the Plant Based Network for sponsoring Virtual Vegfest, and the last week for Hodo Foods to be sponsoring Virtual Vegfest for the month of March. And even though we're in April, but we're gonna finish out the week. And then our newest sponsor is Cinnaholic. Book that today, and they are going to be part of our prize packages for April, and that link is up. So you can, I hope it's up on our website, virtualvegfest.com, going under contest. It should be. If not, it'll be updated by later or tomorrow, but the link has been posted to our social media. So you can win a prize pack now from Orgain, Hodo Foods, Crafters Organics, Follow Your Heart, and a $50 gift certificate to Cinnaholic if you're in an area where there's a Cinnaholic available to you. So this is like really happy that Cinnaholic is supporting Virtual Veg Fest Live and is now part of that. So like I said, you can win prizes just for doing something like subscribing to our YouTube channel, which I increased to 25 entries. Why? Because it's really something I want you to do. So if you subscribe to our Virtual VegFest YouTube channel through our contest, you get 25 entries to win one of 5 prize packs. I say that's a really good deal. So Ellie Laks is here today from the Gentle Barn, and I don't know if you know her or not, but you need to. A dynamic speaker. She has been a speaker, and they've been a presenting sponsor of Nashville Veg Fest. They have 3 different locations: California and St. Louis and Nashville, Tennessee, for the Gentle Barn. I can't wait to visit. At some point, I'll make it to Nashville where we have the time and I'm not producing the event and I can actually go and visit the animals, because there's really nothing like going to a sanctuary and seeing the animals living out their lives in sanctuary with love and care, completely different from probably the stories that they came from. So if you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Put them into the little box and we'll definitely address them. And let's go. Hey, Ellie.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm really glad that you're here and that you're part of this. And I look forward to having the Gentle Barn and you part of our, obviously, all of our events potentially, but definitely Nashville, because Nashville is happening this year on October 9th. So we've got to get, I have to get that going, but it's going to happen. So let's throw this at you so you can share about you and the Gentle Barn, book, whatever you want to say.
All right. Well, Helene, thank you so much for having me. I think Virtual Veg Fest is so cool. So I'm really happy to be a part of it. So, for those of you that might not know me, my name is Ellie, and just like you said, I'm the founder of the Gentle Barn Foundation. I was born obsessed with animals. I think we all are. Like, I don't know. I think that we're all just knowing that we're connected, loving animals. I was raised in Boston, St. Louis, and Connecticut. So there were always lakes and woods by my houses. And from the earliest of ages, I just remember toddling out to those woods or sloshing around in the lakes. And those animals were my friends, those ducks, the turtles, the tadpoles turning into frogs, even the salamanders. They were just all my friends. And I felt very connected and included with nature. I just felt part of them. And I felt this huge, big sense of responsibility that I wanted to be so careful to, if I turned over a log to find a salamander, that I put them right back where I found them, and I put the log right back so that he's comfortable. I just always felt like such a reverence and respect for nature and animals. But I noticed at a very, very early age that the people around me did not see animals the same way. My brothers did cruel things to insects because they knew it would make me cry. The kids at school did horrible things to each other, but also to animals on the playground. And the people around me just saw animals as things we eat, wear, and they're disposable. And that's definitely not how I saw animals. And so it disturbed me greatly that there was this difference between the way that I saw animals and the way that everyone around me saw them. And from the earliest age of 7, I just kept saying, when I grow up, I'm going to have a huge place full of animals and I'm going to show the world how beautiful they are. Because I wanted to show the world who I see and how I see them, that I hear their voice, that I see their intelligence, that they have distinct personalities, that they crave affection, and that really even though the species might look different, maybe we have different lifestyles, really we're all the same inside our hearts. And it's the sameness that I want more of humanity to see. Yeah, anyone can see the differences between us. But if we can learn to see the similarities, then it will unite us instead of divide us. It will turn us into protectors instead of destroyers, and it will bring us all closer together. And so I wanted to start the Gentle Barn since I was 7, but I had no idea how to do it or what the first step was. I mean, I just had no idea. And so it was something that I created in my mind for a really long time. You know, when I was sitting in school, I would doodle the Gentle Barn. So my notebooks, the desk, and my arms were full of pictures of animals. And when I went to sleep each night, I would imagine all the animals that I would get to live and love. And so it was something very real in my mind, but I didn't know how to actually start it. And it wasn't until 22 years ago when I discovered an abusive petting zoo and I started bringing animals home from that horrible petting zoo that were dying there. And suddenly my little half-acre backyard filled up with animals. And one day I woke up, looked out my window to all those animals and said, holy cow, I just started my dream. So it wasn't really very planned out or thought out. It just like I knee jerked with all those animals at the petting zoo, brought them home, realized I'd started my dream, and then had to start figuring out, okay, well, how do I start a nonprofit and how do I raise money and how do I bring people to come and fall in love with these animals? So all those things were things that I had to figure out later. But we figured them out. The first 10 years was full of challenges and obstacles, but we overcame them. And here we are, a national organization 21 years later. And I wrote a book called My Gentle Barn, Creating a Sanctuary Where Animals Heal and Children Learn to Hope. And it's mostly about what not to do because we share the challenges, the obstacles, the mistakes that we made, the learning curve. But mostly we're sharing all those founding animals that taught me everything that I know today and sharing the first groups of children that would come out and heal with the animals. Because in addition to teaching empathy and kindness and body language and how we're all the same to people, to the public, and to schools. But we also host groups of at-risk inner city and special needs children and adults so that people who are struggling can come out to the Gentle Barn, hug cows, cuddle turkeys, give pigs tummy rubs, look in the eyes of these animals, hear their stories of resilience, and be inspired and empowered by them. My book, My Gentle Barn, is available anywhere books are sold, on Amazon, at Barnes and Noble, or you can get a signed copy at our website, gentlebarn.org, or even my website, ellielaks.com. So one of the things that I always did ever since I was a very, very small child, and I'm gaining confidence, is animal communication. I've always been able to hear animals. I've always heard their cries for help. I've always known what they wanted or what they didn't want and what they needed. And it's really helped me because now at the Gentle Barn, we have 200 rescued animals. And they come in, sometimes we know their stories, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes they won't eat and we don't know why. Sometimes they have behavioral issues. So one of the tools that we use, obviously vet care, acupuncture, massage therapy, a whole bunch of alternative methods like love. But one of the tools that we use to figure out what they've gone through, what they're feeling, what they need, and how we can make them whole is animal communication. And so I love animals. I want to make their lives better. I want to hear their stories and I want to share their stories to raise awareness so that more people can know what they go through, more people can really see them and have empathy for them, and we can eke our way towards a more gentle world and a more peaceful planet where we can all live in harmony together and lift each other up instead of enslave and destroy one another. And I think when we do that for animals, we'll also be creating peace and harmony for ourselves and for Mother Earth. So it'll be a win-win.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. So that's amazing that you started this as a child, right? And you watch your dream come true because we all kind of done it, gone to the supermarket and there was a person there with, 4 kittens that they were just going to hand and give away. And you're like, you can't just give these away because you don't know who's going to get them. I'll just take them home. Oh, now I have 4 kittens. It's like, and you're going to foster kittens. They're not fostered. You name them, they're yours. It's a true story. So, and four kittens is a lot of fun because they don't climb up you as much when they have each other to play with. So there's a positive. It's like one kitten who just climbs you and scratches and bites you. They play with each other. Tons of fun, tons of energy. But yeah, I ended up with four cats because they grow up. But so I kind of like, I want to delve into a little bit into the book, right? Because I feel it's really important. There's a lot of people out there that could end up doing something like that and bring home a pig and some chickens and then more pigs because there's so many animals that need homes. And and then you get to kind of that level of I can't really afford anymore, but there's so many that need help, and you have that absolutely wonderful heart that every single person who runs a sanctuary has, and the same heart that has to say no often because you have to take care of the living beings that are in your care already, and you just can't take on all of them, and it's a lesson that you have to learn. I think everyone has to learn that lesson. But I'd love to hear of what you put into the book as to what you should do or shouldn't do, especially for those who are watching who are thinking, I want to do that.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that I would like to impart to people that are wondering that they want to start a sanctuary. Well, I have three things to say. One is there's sanctuaries can look different. There's not one way that a sanctuary looks. There's a million different ways that sanctuary can look. You can have a few chickens in your backyard and bring them to schools and create awareness and love of chickens to school kids. You could have a family farm that's just a couple acres and just have maybe one or two of each animal, so and have people visit, but on a very small scale. And then you can have, a farm that's 3,000 acres and you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of animals and a big overhead, and then you've got to really be adept at fundraising and connecting so that you can keep going. um, but there's not one way. So if anybody has a dream that they want to promote veganism, they want to help animals, they want to do something important on this planet, it's really important to take some time in the quiet stillness to really figure out what vision is coming through each individual. Because again, the way that I have sanctuary at the Gentle Barn doesn't have to look like the same way as a horse rescue or a cat rescue or a dog rescue. Do you want to rescue older animals or younger animals? Do you want to adopt them out, or do you want to keep them for the rest of your life? Do you want to be open to the public and have programs, or do you want to be closed and just share your stories virtually? There's a million different ways that sanctuary can look. So the first step to anyone that might be interested in starting a sanctuary is you have to look deep within to see what brings you joy. What version of sanctuary do you want to give birth to, and what feels right to you? And then once you figured that all out, I think I think there needs to be like just this dedication that you're never going to take no for an answer. To believe that your dream and your vision is worthy, that this is why you're here, and to just never give up, never take no for an answer, never give up on your dream, and keep problem solving until you've reached your purpose. And then the other thing, the last thing that I want to say for anyone wanting to do this is once you know what your vision looks like and you know what you want to do and why you want to do it, and once you determine that you're never going to take no for an answer, so you keep problem solving, leave the how to someone else. Like, don't get stuck in, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to afford this? How is this going to work? Because you can get buried under the how and you can get stuck there forever. So know what you want to do and know why you want to do it, and then leave the how to the universe, where you will be led to your connections, you will be led to your resources, and you will be led through it to manifest your dreams. And that's my story, and that's what I believe. I believe that when we leave the how alone and we just taste it, smell it, and touch it, that we will find a way to create it.
I agree with you. I'm a big fan and believer in positive energy, in 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 the putting out into the universe what you need and it coming back to you, and also knowing when to ask. When you get in front of the right people to ask the questions or to get the answers or ask for the support that you're looking for, because they just might be the people that can get that for you. And I find that happening all the time.
Yeah. And that was another lesson that I had to learn, by the way, if I was to give, one more piece, like a fourth thing, is those of us that are empaths, intuitives, we're caregivers, we're healers, we're rescuers. It's very easy for us to give, but it's not easy for us to receive. And my backyard was filling up with animals. They needed vet care. They needed hay and feed. I needed to pay the utility bills. I wanted to rescue even more animals and get to a bigger property. But at the same time, when people came to donate, I'd be like, oh, no, I can't take your money.
Right.
And if you're not going to receive, then how are you going to help the animals in your charge? And so I had to learn to receive and to really believe that my vision was worthy in order to receive, not for myself, but for the animals that I was trying to save and for the cause that I was trying to build and for my purpose that I was trying to live. So if you're like me and you're a caregiver and a healer and a rescuer, believe in yourself and get comfortable with receiving so you can expand that dream and you can have even a bigger impact. And the more I was able to receive, the bigger the Gentle Barn grew. And now we're a national organization in 3 locations and we're planning our 4th. So it's exciting stuff.
Fourth.
Yes, I would like a 4th location in New York on the East Coast.
Ooh. Upstate?
Um, I would like to be in the middle of Central Park.
Whoa. Is that
Yeah.
possible?
Well, I don't know. My motto is if you can dream it and see it, then you can have it. And I don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere and have only the vegan people come and make that trek to see us. I mean, they're I don't want to preach to the choir. I want to be in the middle of Central Park and I want to work with the at-risk inner city and special needs kids. I want to work with all that school population of city kids that are not reverent about nature and don't know animals and don't have a respect. The people in that inner city, they're the ones that I want to bring to hug cows and hold chickens and develop compassion and develop empathy. So I want to be where the work is needed. I don't want to be on the outskirts. And I also want to have a big impact in maybe converting those carriage horses to electric carriages and kind of freeing those horses. So I have big dreams and big plans, and I'm going to work my way towards it. And just like I said a minute ago, I'm going to hold on to the what and the why, and I'm going to make the how not my problem.
Well, you just put it out to the universe. So if there's a possibility, then I mean, isn't there a zoo? I should know this.
Yeah,
I'm from New York, but I really didn't spend a lot of time in Central Park. I spent my time in Greenwich Village. So so I didn't go uptown. I went down to the East Village when I was younger. So I'm pretty sure there's a zoo. So can't we just convert the zoo to a sanctuary?
I say yes to that.
Yep. That would be incredible. And you're right. Inner city, the kids don't typically. They get to go to the zoo. They get to go to the Bronx Zoo. That's what like we all did growing up in New York.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not what we want. The
Right.
kids from the city that don't have trees, don't have gardens, don't put their hands in the earth, aren't connected to animals, they go to the zoo and see animals in cages. So that's not connecting them to animals. That's teaching them to objectify the animals and to view them for their own pleasure. I want to bring them inside the walls of the Gentle Barn and let them put their faces on a cow, close their eyes, and feel their love. I want to put chickens in their arms. I want to teach them when an animal is saying yes or no. I want to connect them to their own intuition so that they realize we're all one and we're not divided. And the inner city, I mean, the middle of New York, they need that more than anywhere. So I want to find a way to do that.
You keep giving me goosebumps. Like a few times now you're speaking, I like totally relate because when you're trying to like build this empire for lack of a better word, and you can't do it alone because you need the support of so many people to feed all these lives, all these mouths have to be fed and taken care of and cared for and housed and vet bills and medical bills and everything that comes along with it. And reputation matters. And I know in sanctuary world there's drama. I've heard it. It's come through my phone. It's just like the vegan world. It's like any world. There's drama and there's people because there's people. It's not the animals. It's the people that cause that drama. But you know, if you build it, they will come. I mean, that's just it. Once you go to a sanctuary and you meet the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the roosters and the ducks and the turkeys and the sheep and the lambs and I mean dogs and cats and whoever's there, it's hard to not see your plate differently than you did before going there, because suddenly you have a face and you have a being, a live sentient being
Yeah.
in place of what you're putting on your plate, which you don't actually have to put on your plate. Because you know just because these pigs are loving and caring and in sanctuary doesn't mean that the pigs that are going to slaughterhouse couldn't be loving and caring and living in sanctuary too, or just not born to be killed,
Yeah.
so thank you for like everything that you do. It's absolutely amazing. And if I hear of any way that you can do that, I will definitely let you know because you'll be the first person that I reach out to and I go, you can do it. I heard, because I'm the same way with like that energy and things happening. I can give you an example that happened today. Like last week, I put out into the universe a way to be able to reach Joaquin Phoenix. Like I was like, I need to do this. I want to do it for somebody else. Actually, it's not even for me. And today, I think I made that connection because I
Nice.
asked. I was like, "Do you have a way I can get in touch with Joaquin Phoenix? I just need 20 to 30 seconds of his time. That's all I need." And he doesn't even have to. He doesn't have to be around me. He just has to pick up his phone and do 20 to 30 seconds and send that to me. That's it. That's all I need. That might happen,
Nice.
right? So that is the exact principle that you're talking about. I don't know how it's going to happen, but one thing about me, and similar to you, if there's a way to do it, I will do it. We will make it happen. It's just the way we work.
Yeah.
And that's like pretty awesome. It's fun to be us.
It
Because it
is.
is.
It is. It's magic. It's magic. You just put an intention out there and you feel the joy of having it like you have it now, and you just focus on those feelings of how excited you are and how happy you are and how much joy it, and then it just, the pieces align. It just does.
Right, and it's I don't want people to think like it's like fairy dust and,
No,
we're like not doing anything to make it happen. It's like, no,
no,
we're like always doing stuff to make it happen. It's just recognizing that the person in front of you, whether it's in person or right now, Zoom, or on a phone call, recognizing that this is the time to bring up that intention. This is the person to bring it up to, because I'm hearing like this makes sense here. Or you're just talking offhand about something and they kind of, you see them perk up and go, "Oh, what's that? I can help you with that." You're like, "Oh." You're normally your intuition says this is the time. And that's how things happen. That's the world. And if you're not that type of person, that's okay. But to do what we do, you have to kind of be that type of person, because we're always relying on like other people to kind of help and move us forward to get the message out there, to save the animals, to have the Vegfest, to reach the people, to talk about veganism, talk about the environment, talk about health, talk about saving these animals. We can't do that without those intentions and other people.
yeah.
So that's so cool. See, like I said,
Mhm.
you never know where the conversation is going to go ever. So I'd love for you to, before we went live, we were, being an animal communicator as you are. I want to hear all about that. Like everything you can possibly share. It's incredibly interesting to me, especially when you have like, you have your dogs and cats and you want to know what they're thinking and feeling, and you have a story that might make me cry, but I want you to share about, you know, what happened over like the beginning of COVID and the previous year before that, the 2 years before that, with your service dog.
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, let me back up to say that I have always been able to hear animals. And I vividly remember being 6 years old, playing in my room with my dollies, and all of a sudden getting this call for help. And I was like, oh, coming. And I left my room and I walked through the house and I walked down the street and I took a left at the end of the neighborhood where the lake was. And I went to this huge, big, very, very tall tree, and there was a little bird that had fallen out of her nest from this very, very tall tree. And I scooped her up and I was like, here I am. Thanks for calling me. I'll help you. And I brought her home and I made a little nest out of mud and grass. And I raised her until she could fly away. And I thought everyone was like that. I thought everyone could hear animals, that we were all connected. I thought it was very strange when someone couldn't hear them. I started training dogs professionally when I was 11 years old because I could totally talk and listen to these animals. Um, and then when I hit high school, I realized that other people didn't operate like that. And I started getting bullied and teased, and I wanted to be quote unquote normal. And so I ended up throwing my gift away, just wanting to fit in and wanting to be like everybody else. And that led me down a very, 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 very dark, self-destructive road. Because the minute you deny who you are, I mean, it's not going to end well. And I started trying to numb out because here I was denying who I was. And so that's uncomfortable. Anyway, to make a long story short, and the whole thing is in my book, My Gentle Barn, I realized when I came up to the end of that dark road that I had to accept who I was and honor my gifts. And so I just kind of accepted the fact that I was an animal communicator, opened the Gentle Barn. Well, first I was doing dog and cat rescue, and animal communication came in really, really handy with healing those unwanted animals. And then I started the Gentle Barn. And I didn't have a lot of, like, I was honoring myself enough that I could hear animals, but I also didn't want to talk about it too much because I got bullied in high school and I didn't want to invalidate the Gentle Barn or make people tease me or make me seem like a kook. So it was something that I was doing on a daily basis, but I kept it on the down low. And every once in a while, somebody would find out about it and they would reach out and say, oh my God, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. And I would do readings for people to help them, but I wasn't like broadcasting it. And then I started studying with two different animal communicators that really raised my confidence level and made me believe in myself and made me really take it seriously to the point where now I'm doing it professionally because there are people all over the place that love their animals, just like you said. And they want to know if they have an illness, are they ready to go? Or is it too soon? What do they need? What can you do more of? Or those of us that rescue animals, where did they come from? And what issues did they bring into our relationship? And what can we do about it? And so I started realizing that animal communication saved my life several times. And I wanted to give back and help people communicate better with their own animals. But I had a really wonderful experience with my service dog. So for the last 10 years, have had a service dog because I've had some PTSD in my childhood and some fear issues. And having a service dog travel with me makes me feel confident and safe. And so my first service dog was Socks, and she was a husky mix. And it was like traveling with a human being. She understood every single word that I said. She also understood how to adapt to any circumstance. So like when she was off duty and we were at the dog park, she knew to play with the dogs. At home, she was very, very protective and she wouldn't let anyone come in the house. But when we were traveling, she wouldn't dare bark at anybody. She was totally appropriate wherever we were. And by the time she was 14, I realized that she was getting arthritic. She was losing her hearing. And I said to her, like, you can't keep doing this for me. You can't keep walking across these huge airports and traveling and being with me at our different Gentle Barn locations. You deserve a retirement. And so I communicated with her and asked her if she would be willing to retire. And she said she would love that. And one of the things about Socks is that she was always perfect. I could make a huge big lunch and leave it on the floor, and there's no way she would eat it. She never peed in the house. She was never aggressive to anybody. She never chewed up her toys. She was like the perfect angel. She was always, always perfect. So when I discussed with her the idea of retiring, she said, "Oh my God, that would be amazing. And I have a bucket list of the things that I've never dared do that I would like to do now." So I got out a pad and paper and I said, "Okay, what's your bucket list?" She said that she wanted to know what it was like to steal food off the counter. She wanted to know what it was like to chew up a toy. She wanted to destroy a dog bed and rip it into a million tiny pieces all over the house. She wanted to know what it was like to pee on the floor. That she said that for the rest of her life, she wanted me to share every single solitary thing I was eating with her, and that she wanted to go to the beach. And that was her bucket list. And so I wrote it down, and I would feel really, really guilty when I had to travel without her. And I kept like having the conversations like, "I'm so sorry. Like, I feel so guilty that you're retired. Do you mind if I travel without you?" And she would be like, "Oh my God, go already. Like, go and have fun. Leave me here. I am loving life." And she would lay on her back and stick her feet up in the air. And she was like, "I'm retired, man. Leave me alone." And she had a beautiful, beautiful retirement. I felt so bonded with her, though, that I felt like it was betraying her to get another service dog. So I went 2 years without a service dog. And it was hard for me, but I mean, I just didn't feel like I could replace her yet. Then 2 years later, I was called to, somebody had a 3-month-old puppy that they couldn't care for, and they asked if we could find a home for, and he happened to be a purebred Australian Shepherd. And I was like, "Oh my God, that'll be the easiest placement I've ever done. Yes, bring me this dog." And when I went to meet the dog, I looked at his face, and I don't know why, but I immediately knew that he was my next service dog. And I brought him home to the Gentle Barn, still with the intention of placing him, because even though I thought that he would be my next service dog and I had that feeling, I wasn't really believing it yet. So I brought him home to the Gentle Barn, and I was going through the process of placing him and adopting him into a wonderful home. But at the same time, I had him with me always. And I was hosting groups at the time, inner city at-risk special needs kids and adults. And I work a lot with teenagers that are getting out of gangs or in drug and alcohol recovery. And they're very closed off, some of them. Some of them, like, they come to the Gentle Barn, they have their arms folded defensively across their chest. They won't look at me. They won't answer my questions. They won't talk to me. And it's really hard to open them up. And I was watching in these groups that Sky would just leap into their laps, and immediately these tough, defensive teenagers would erupt into a smile. Their eyes would get teary. They would start interacting with Sky, throwing sticks or throwing a ball for him or just petting him and kissing him. He would kiss their whole faces. And within a nanosecond, he had these tough teenagers melting into these little kids, laughing and giggling and asking me questions. And all of a sudden they were opening up to me. We were talking. They wanted information. And he had these kids bonded to me in like 2 seconds. And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's a healer." And I saw him do this group after group after group. And by the time, we got applications for him, I was like, forget it. He's mine. Like, he's going to be my next healer dog. He's going to be my service dog, but he's also going to do work with me, healing people at the Gentle Barn. And he was amazing with the animals. And I just couldn't believe how amazing he was. But then I had this thought, like, oh my God, I had this thought that, like, now that I have a new service dog, is Socks going to leave me? And so I did a communication with her, and I was like, "Look, if I take in this service dog and start taking him everywhere like we used to do, are you going to leave me?" And she said, "No, I'm going to give you another year." She said, "I'm going to train him for you. I'm going to work with him and raise him a little bit with you. And I'm going to give you another year. But at the end of the year, he's going to be your full-fledged service dog, and I'm going to bow out." And I was like, "Well, I don't want you to leave me." And she said, "Oh my God, haven't I done enough for you? I was your service dog. I was with you for 14 years. I went everywhere with you. I was the perfect dog." She was like, "For the love of God, like, let me have a wonderful retirement. Let me train my protege, and then bless me on my way." And so I was like, okay, fine. So thank you. So uh, I hear your dog.
Yep.
So I stashed that away in the back of my brain, but all the while thinking, I hope I'm wrong. I hope she'll give me more time. I hope I'm just, making this stuff up in my head. And we started on our bucket list. So the first thing she did was destroy a toy. And she broke it into a million pieces. I didn't stop her. I just sat there watching her and I checked that off our list. The next thing she did was destroy a brand new dog bed. Literally, I got a brand new dog bed and she started eating it. And I sat there and watched her. She chewed it into 10 million pieces all over the house. And I just sat and watched her and smiled. And then it took me 3 hours to clean it up. But I checked it off her bucket list. Then she went and she peed in every single room of the house. She had never done that before, ever, ever, ever. But she literally went and peed in every single room of the house, but only once. And then when she was done, she was done. She never did it again. But she wanted to know what it felt like. And so she would go into a room, she would squat and pee, and she would look right at me with a smile on her face. And I'd be like, go for it. And then she started stealing food off the counter and she started digging in the trash. And there were some days where she would open the trash and she would put trash all over the house and I would clean it up for her. And then, sure enough, every time I ate something, she would bark in my face until I gave it to her. So for the rest of her life, I had to share everything I ate to her. Um, and meanwhile, she's training Sky and she's raising him and she's telling him what not to do and what to do. And he's doing great. And then the last thing on her list was going to the beach for a girls' day. So me and my daughter jumped in the car and we drove her to the beach. And we sat on the beach and she chased seagulls and we shared a lunch and we walked in the waves. And it was this beautiful, perfect, perfect, perfect day. And as we're driving home, I'm realizing, oh my God, that's the last thing on her list. And I started getting this really, really nervous feeling like, oh my God, now she might leave me. And I realized that it was the end of the year. And the next day, after the last thing that we did on her bucket list, she stopped eating. And I brought her to the doctor, and the doctor, after a lot of tests, diagnosed her with stomach cancer. And then the pandemic hit, and usually I'm traveling to any of the 3 locations and I'm doing all this work, and all of a sudden everything stopped. We shut down, the travel stopped, everything stopped. And we had the most beautiful goodbye. We took her, I asked her, okay, you're obviously in your last stretch. What do you want to do? And she said, I want to spend time with you and I want to be with you and I want to go for hikes around the neighborhood. So we would go on these hikes and then we'd come home and I'd spoon her and I'd cuddle her for hours. Most nights I would sleep on the floor with her. We had just this slow down time where we ate meals together and I pet her and I laid with her and we went for wonderful walks and we discovered the property together and we gardened together and we laid in the sun together and it was just absolute bliss. And a month later, she looked at me one day and she was like, it's time. And I said, no, please don't leave me. And she said, I told you I would give you another year and I did. The year is up. Your service dog is completely trained. Please bless me on my way. And she died in my arms. We had a vet come out to the house and help her out of her body. But it was incredible how everything that she said was exactly so. She did everything on her bucket list. She gave me exactly a year. She trained my next service dog, whose name is Sky. And then she left with a standing ovation and me thanking her over and over and over again for how much she did for me.
Oh, that's amazing. It's what we all want for our fur kids.
Yeah.
Exactly what we all want. I wish I had the ability to know exactly what they're thinking. I really do because they've got personalities.
Yeah, and I've had animals tell me the most amazing things. I had this one cat say that his person was not taking life seriously. She was not taking herself seriously, and that she was all busy and up on her phone and just being lazy, and that he needed her to get up in the morning, dress for success, take herself seriously, spend more time with her dream and her work, that he wanted her to meditate and that he wanted her to get off her phone at night because she is too lost on her silly phone. He wants her to put down the phone and do a gratitude meditation before she ended each day. And he wanted her to step up a notch and take her life more seriously. And like he read her the riot act. It was amazing. I've had animals give their people marriage advice. I've had one cat, she said to her people that the reason she was peeing all over the house is because the boyfriend was awful and she wanted her mom to dump him. And then I had another dog that told me to tell the mom, you're thinking of leaving him, but he's a really good guy. Give him a chance. He's a really good guy. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. Like, I can't believe it. Nobody knows that I'm planning to leave my husband. And I'm like, well, your dog does not want you to. Um, they've said the most incredible things and relayed the most amazing messages. They are our biggest angels.
That's wild. And of course, like when you relay those messages, a person that comes to you to have you do that will take you seriously, right? With the message that they're receiving, right? Because if it wasn't something like an outside person might be like, "You're bonkers," but that person who's coming to you, they want and need to know,
Yeah.
especially if they're sick or just like what's going on, things like that
Yeah.
they change their personality suddenly, you know.
Yeah, and I've had animals that seemed really, really sick say, no, it's not time yet. I need more time. And then other animals that seem that they're doing pretty well in their eating say, I'm done here. Get me out of here. So they really help with end of life decisions. And I had a cat this morning tell me all about how his mom did. He was passed over. He was 16 years old, and I talked to him. He had passed a while ago, and he said that his mom does cat rescue, and she works really, really hard, and she puts everybody else first, and she's so works so hard. But he said, please tell her to pace herself and take time for herself and indulge in self care and take time every day to actually enjoy what she's doing, to sit with the cats and pet them and hold them and kiss them, to actually enjoy her life and enjoy what she's doing instead of just the to-do list. And he was right on. So they're amazing.
Yeah, that's good advice for everybody, not just
Mm-hmm.
that woman. That's everybody needs to take time for themselves every single day, not
Yes.
weekly, not monthly, daily, whatever that is, whether it's a meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's a walk, whether it's a nap, whether it's just closing the door and watching television, whatever it is, sitting outside in the sun, whatever your thing is, but it's not playing games on your phone, whatever that time is that you take that makes you feel good for yourself every day. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you'll burn out. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just not worth it.
Absolutely.
This is wild. Like I said, no idea where it's going to go. I'm like really appreciative of you sharing that because there's so many people. I mean, the vegan community, almost every single one of us has a fur kid of
Yeah.
some form of dogs, cats, and beyond. And we all, I'll speak in general, we all want to make sure that they're happy and healthy and, we're doing everything we possibly can for them. If somebody wanted to have you do this for them, how would they go about that?
Yeah, you could just go to my website, ellielaks.com, and you can book a session. You can read about how animal communication works. You can read some testimonies and some cool cases that I've worked on. You can learn what you can do to learn animal communication or just center yourself and meditate more, so that maybe you can kind of connect more to your animals.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I want to like open the door and bring them all in and be like, talk to them. Like, there's five. There's two cats and three dogs. And if I let them in, it's like, you close the door for like an hour and they think it's weeks. I haven't seen you in an hour. Ah! They come charging in. I was like, they just literally, sometimes they come and bang at the door. I'm like, weekly we do this. We do this. You don't have me for like a little over an hour twice a week. It's okay.
It's an outrage.
I know, pretty much. So what's going on at the Gentle Barn? Anything? I mean, COVID, how's it impacted you? I mean,
I have something really, really exciting going on. I am so excited about this. So, first of all, 21 years ago, I got my very, very first cow. I write about her in my book, My Gentle Barn. Her name was Buddha. She was my first cow. Um, she raised me, she taught me, she hosted every single group with me. She gave out 300,000 hugs in her lifetime. I meditated with her every single day, and I talked to her every single day. And what she would do when I was sad from the very beginning is I would lean against her shoulder and she would wrap her neck around me and hold me. And she gave me hugs every day for my entire life. And so that's when I learned that cows hug. And I started instilling that in every single group that we had, every field trip, every group of children who were at risk or from the inner city, or whatever they were dealing with. They would come in, and the rule was everyone had to hug a cow. And so it would open up really defensive people. It would get people talking. It would get them vulnerable. It was absolutely beautiful. So we've been hugging cows for 21 years. So we shut down for the pandemic. For a year, we did nothing. We did virtual stuff, right? So we were doing virtual tours. We did a gentle drive-through where people came and they could drive through and listen to an audio and eat a vegan lunch and see the animals and hear their stories through an audio. But we were doing nothing in person. And then in March 1st, you know what? We kept getting emails from people saying, I would do anything to hug a cow right now. I've been so isolated. I lost a family member. I'm so sad. I'm so sick. Whatever they were going through, I lost my job. I had to move back home. Whatever they were going through, people all over the world are going through such hell right now. And one after the other, we would get emails from people saying, I would give anything to come to the Gentle Barn. I need to hug a cow. I need to have inspiration. I feel so lonely. And I finally said, you know what? I don't even care if I get COVID. I am sick and tired of sitting on the sidelines. I have to do something to help these people. And so we launched official cow hug therapy in all 3 locations where people can come for an hour session. And it's geared mostly towards one person at a time. But if they want to bring their husband or their teenage kid, that's fine. Or adult kid. But it's not for kids and it's not for families. And they come in and we meditate in the barnyard. We hug cows. And here in California, they get to meet our superstar, John Lewis, Thunderheart, who was a he was a calf that we rescued in the beginning of the pandemic, who was born inside a slaughterhouse. And his mom was too sick. They wouldn't let us have her. But we brought him home and it was too hot in the barn. And we knew we were going to lose him to pneumonia. So we brought him into our house for the air conditioning. And I moved downstairs to become his mom, and I was with him 24/7. And he lived in the house for 6 months, and I was his mom. And my dog Sky, the Australian Shepherd, became his best friend, and it was the 3 of us together all the time. And then finally, he was cleared of pneumonia at 6 months, and he was able to start going outside, where I started taking him on long walks and acclimating him to the cows. And every day he would go to what I call cow kindergarten to start making friends. And slowly he started weaning his bottles, and slowly he started spending more and more time with the cows. And now he's actually with the cows overnight. And he's only 8 months old now, but his soul is 1,000,000 years old. And he gives people these incredible hugs. He closes his eyes. He gives them all his energy. He makes people cry before they even touch him. And he leaves people feeling inspired and full of hope. And he is just a rock star. So people in California can come and have therapy from John Lewis. And in St. Louis, they can have therapy with the St. Louis Six. And in Tennessee and Nashville, they can have therapy with Maybell, her son Miles, her daughter Eclipse, and Captain and Destiny. And these cows are doing incredible work, breathing life back into these people that have really suffered for the last year.
That is so wild. I went to Cows Come Home with Randy Gentry in
Mhm.
Tennessee, and hung out with the cows. Lumu was also raised inside. Sounds like Lumu's way more spoiled because he finally has a barn, and he was a bit stubborn. He still wants to be in the house. He still wants to be with
Yeah.
Randy. So but Lumu is now full grown. So Lumu, like, yeah, it was interesting meeting him because he just kind of like, he actually pushed me up against my car. It was really wild. And then in the pasture, we were hanging out with all the cows, and it was I was videoing. I was live actually, and one came over and just headbutted me in my thigh, and I went tumbling backwards. Not, I didn't fall, but I, like, live, I went like back, and Randy was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like laughing because I was like, "This is unbelievable! What an experience!" It's kind of how I saw it, as like, this is like the neatest thing in the world to like be with these cows. And it's like, it was totally unexpected. Like, but the live video has like the camera like all like cockeyed, like I go backwards and I like come back to standing. Like, I was, yeah. You just, like I said, they're their own beings, and somebody keeps trying to call me. They're their own beings, and you know it was just like wild. So I mean, I totally get it. And there's just a, they're gentle, right? They're the gentle giants. And you just, I'm so glad to hear about this program and that people are receiving the benefit of it at all three gentle barns. And
Yeah, it's been amazing. We've had people come who've lost parents. We've had people come who've lost children. We've had people come that survived cancer. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stories. And of course, people that are isolated and lonely. And with COVID, I mean, Nashville's a little bit better than California. It's more open, but here in California, things are very much still closed, and we have to wear masks, and we're not allowed to hug people. And so, I mean, just going, I'm a hugger, and going through the day and not able to hug people, it is torture. But being able to come and hug the cows, it makes up for it.
oh, I'm sure. And as more and more people get vaccinated, like, I've started hugging some friends. I was like, "Are you vaccinated?" "I'm vaccinated." "Okay, arms out." Like, hugs. I even feel better, like, even if someone isn't vaccinated, but I know I am. I've started hugging, and for the people that are receiving the hugs. One of my friends almost cried. Tears came
Yeah,
to her eyes this past weekend because that touch, other than her husband or her daughter, right? It just struck like a nerve that brought tears immediately, because I just kind of put my arm around and pulled her in. And she was like, you know I'm sure like a lot of people feel that way. I mean, I'm introverted, so this has not been a like, it's been a relatively easy year for me. But my extroverted friends, this has been a torturous year for
yeah.
them. Absolute torture. I i'm good.
Right, me too. I'm also an introvert, and this has been the best year of my life. I'm like, I'm going to stay home. I'm so happy.
Because we travel a lot, and then when we travel, we're around a lot of people, and then we have to go recover from being around all those people. And then you're like, "Oh, I love being home," but you also love to travel, but
Yeah,
you also don't want to be around so many people. So you just kind of, but then no pressure. Like, there's been a year of zero pressure to be around people, to travel, to leave your house. It's like,
seriously, I miss hugging people, but other than that, it's been the best year of my life. I mean, obviously, I don't want anyone else to suffer, and that's
right.
been awful to yeah. But for me personally,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm having the best time.
We have a lot in common that I don't think we knew. I feel exactly the same. People don't believe that I'm introverted because here I am, like, going live weekly, but I'm at home, just having a conversation. And then I don't talk to like any, like, the other. I mean, I talk to Steven because he's here. I talk to the dogs and the cats, but I don't really talk to any other humans. And I'm okay, because this is my human interaction, and we you just keep moving. Yeah, like I totally get it. So that's a fantastic program, and I'm glad that you opened that back up. And I'm sure you'll get back to in person and having events again. And of course, anything that I can do to help with that. I'm still trying to come up with like an idea that would be unique for Gentle Barn to do an event. I have, and, it's just I talked to Jay and Courtney, and it's just still like I'm just trying. If when it comes, I'll like throw it out there, but you want it to be different from what other people are doing.
I was going to say our Thanksgiving event is really, really wonderful. I wonder if we could partner somehow with that. But you're saying like you want to come up with something that's never been done before?
Yeah, something like, because I
Mhm.
understand like the fundraising is important because you kind of, I mean, because you miss out on that, the people coming, you miss out on a lot of fundraising, and that's incredibly important. And you want it, it's the Gentle Barn, so it should be different from what others are doing. I just don't know what that is yet. Like it, and normally things come to me like more quickly, but this one is, I mean, it's hard because everybody's doing, a virtual something or other, but gotta be do something. And yeah, for the Thanksgiving thing, if there's any way, of course I'm more than willing to.
I'll be so happy because we've had our vegan Thanksgivings. We've had it since the inception of the Gentle Barn, where people can come around the world and cuddle turkeys and feed turkeys pie and eat these delicious gourmet vegan meals. And this is the first year in 21 years that we've had to be closed and not have that event. And so, I don't know like how long COVID is going to take to end, but I mean, if we can have Thanksgiving and be able to be open by then, I'll be a very happy camper and be able to have that event in all three locations. I'll be really happy.
Oh, I look forward. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite days. We have like the country's largest vegan Thanksgiving here in Durham, and last year we did takeout for it. So to be able to be together again, hopefully be comfortable to be in a restaurant again, will by Thanksgiving of this year.
Yeah,
Like there's ways
great,
that could
right?
happen. Wear your mask, social distance, get vaccinated, and by the fall we may actually have a somewhat new normal-ish fall
Yeah, yeah. That's my.
together indoors.
But I think Thanksgiving is very poignant. A lot of people say, "Oh, I hate Thanksgiving because it's the slaughter of billions of turkeys. It's the memory of uh, genocide for the Native Americans. I mean, it's not a good holiday." But what I like about Thanksgiving is changing it to be a celebration of Native American culture. We have a Native American drum circle. We have a Native American chief present in our events. We're cuddling turkeys. We're feeding them pie. And isn't that life? Isn't that life where you can take something awful and evolve through it and say, how can we do this better? And so then it becomes a celebration of life and a celebration of reverence instead of what it's always been. And that's what we're here to do on this planet. We're here to look at what we has always been done, and we're here to make it better and evolve and be more conscious and more gentle and more thoughtful and turn what we've always done into what we can now do in the future to save this planet, heal our bodies, and free animals. And so I think Thanksgiving at a sanctuary is very symbolic of that change needed on this entire planet.
Amen. Is That's exactly it. We we have to do better. And that's the reminder that we have to do better. It's we Just because something was done a certain way for so many years or so much time does not mean that it was the right way,
Right.
and we can evolve to a better way. And we have to evolve to a better way because we're not going to have a planet to keep evolving on if we don't make these changes to how we eat and how we live and how we treat animals. They're all connected. And I get that a lot of people come to veganism for health reasons, and hopefully eventually they learn about the environment and the impact of the animals, because they are helping both of those by eating a vegan diet. but to kind of ground themselves into that so they continue to eat in a compassionate manner and help others understand where they're at without, because newbie vegans are all like in your face. But to help people understand that we really need to be making these changes so that your kids can have kids,
Yeah.
right? Because we're not heading in a direction where your kids will have a planet to live on.
You know what I think about a lot? I think about how if we don't get this right, we're going to just go extinct. And then I think about, wow, I wonder how many times we've done this already, where we've started as larvae and we've crawled onto the earth and we've evolved into animals and then we evolved into primates and then we stood up and evolved into man. And then we figured out how to use tools and we had the Industrial Revolution. And then we got to this point and we screwed it up and were made extinct and had to start all over again. And it's like, oh my God, stop the madness. Can we just get it right this time? We can do this.
What an interesting, it's like mind blowing thing to say to everybody is, we don't know. We don't know if this is the time that we, you know, screwed it up again. Can we do better? And as humans, we don't think like that in general. There's a segment of us that do, not enough. And too many people think more about themselves than they think about the whole. And that, I think, is a really big part of the problem, is the individualistic manners and ways that humans, Americans, have, is detrimental to not just when we're in a pandemic, but to the environment, to the animals, to your health, to everything. It just doesn't work. And it's sad because we grew up kind of with this sense of community. Like our generation, there was a community sense to it. Like growing up, neighbors helped each other. Neighbors were, we got together, we did stuff. The kids in the neighborhood all hung out, went to the park across the street. And, that's just the way it was. It's different now. It's very different now. And I don't know how you change that, because I mean, I think what we're doing right now is fantastic technologically, but I also think what we're doing right now is part of the problem.
Mm.
So you need to kind of take what we have and turn it into the positives and try to work on those negatives so that we can do better. I just care about one another. How could you just not care about another person and not just care about the animals? Because that's another problem with vegans and veganism, is that it's all animal focused, but humans are animals too. We have to care not just about the pigs and the chickens and the cats and the dogs and the turkeys and lambs, everybody. We also have the everybody includes the humans.
Yeah.
So be nice, be kind. You never know where somebody's been or what they've been through on that day, and just do better. We can all do better, every single one of us.
It's so true. And like the quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, you can't drive out hate with more hate, only love can do that. And you can't drive out darkness with darkness, only light can do that. I think of it as like the reason why I have the Gentle Barn and the reason why I do this work is because I really want to put more peace, more joy, more love, and more healing onto the planet. But I can't do those things until I'm being those things. So I can't create more love until I'm loving. I can't create more peace until I'm peaceful. So when we're those angry vegans walking around yelling and judging and criticizing and backstabbing people, and that is never ever 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 going to turn the world peaceful. It's not only about what we put in our mouths and what we wear. It's about the thoughts that are in our head. It's about the conversations that we have. It's how we look at everyone with eyes of compassion and gentleness and kindness, and not judge people, but ask what we can do for them, and not criticize, but identify with where they are, because we were there once too. And if we can come with that loving intention, then we'll have peace on this planet, towards animals, towards people, and towards ourselves.
Beautiful. Well, on that note, if anyone wants to donate to the Gentle Barn or get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Please go to gentlebarn.org, and you can also find the Gentle Barn on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Perfect. If I can type, that'd be even better.
And please come find a Gentle Barn near you and come hug cows, cuddle turkeys, give pigs tummy rubs, hold chickens, look in the eyes of these beautiful animals, hear their stories of resilience, and know that though we may look different, we are all the same.
Ellie, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you and give you like the biggest hug
I'm
ever.
ready.
I mean, now that I know you better, I mean I knew you, but I didn't know you. Right? So this has been fantastic for me because I love getting to know people, but I also love getting to know people that I will see. I'm going to see you most likely, and somehow, I mean, I think the education part of the events is going to be virtual and not in person yet because I don't want people sitting and being around one another unless something really changes between now and August. So, I mean, keep that in mind because if it does change enough,
Fingers crossed. I got,
exactly.
I got, we have hugs for each other, and that we'll celebrate being able to be together again.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Definitely look forward to it, and taking the time to go to the Gentle Barn and getting that tour that was promised to me by Jay like years ago. So I haven't forgotten. I'm totally on board. I just
We're,
have
we're
to
here
get
waiting
there.
for you.
Well, wonderful. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day and keep doing what you're doing because it's important.
Thank you. Right back at you.
All right, thank you. Bye, Ellie.
Thanks. Bye.
Well, everyone, thank you so much again for being part of Virtual Vegfest Live, and I hope you really enjoyed that talk because I did. So remember to wear your mask. Even if you're vaccinated, please wear a mask over your nose, under your chin. Make sure you do that. Why? Because if you don't cover your nose, connect it to your lungs, and you can spread COVID or get it. So you don't want that. So please wear your mask. We are fans of getting vaccinated over here at Virtual Veg Fest and Triangle Veg Fest, so we suggest that you do that too. Why? Because just what we just spoke about, being kind to other people and helping us get back to somewhat of a normal society. The only way we're going to do that is we're vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. I'm okay. I got sick after the second one, but when if there's a reaction in your body from being vaccinated, it's because it's actually working, which is a great, great thing. Other than that, remember to support your local restaurants and get some vegan and plant-based food from your food trucks. And we have a new food truck locally, super excited. Stairway to Vegan and Epic Vegan, and there's so much stuff going on. Let me see. Saturday, April 3rd. Have you registered yet for the biggest vegan egg hunt ever! Exclamation point. Go to plantbasedkidsclub.com and register your family to be part of this free event. If you're so inclined to donate to Animal Place and to buy the Vegetated Family Table, you can do that by going to virtualvegfest.com and clicking on the logo, or going to plantbasedkidsclub.com and going to the event page, and there's a link there where you can buy the book and you can donate to Animal Place, and you can get entered to win some really cool prizes like a $250 gift certificate to Vegan Essentials, $50 gift certificate to Rescue Chocolates, and more. So a year of gelato from Nobucha Gelato. I mean, herbivore stuff. I mean, there's discounts for herbivore and Vegan Essentials. It's really a great event. It'll be a lot of fun too. So not a religious event, just a fun event for the family and for the kids on Saturday at like 1 p.m. Eastern time. So other than that, I am back on Saturday at 4 p.m. We're going to do the event, the egg hunt. At 4 p.m. I go live with Anna Ferguson from World Peace Yoga. We're going to go into chill mode. We're going to learn about how you can become a yoga teacher. And I don't know, I'm all about doing some poses. Maybe we'll do that live too. But for now, I will see you on Saturday. Thanks. Bye.